You're joining the Loudr Lawyer Network, the podcast where we sit down with the law firm owners, attorneys, and visionaries that are making the most noise in the legal landscape nationwide to find out the secrets to their success. Other podcasts think they're getting loud, but we're getting louder. Let's get into it.
Welcome to the Loudr Lawyer Network, where we help attorneys scale to $1 million months through powerful strategies and connections. Today, I have no other than Jonathan Hawkins. Jonathan Hawkins, how you doing?
I'm doing good, man. How you doing?
Man, I'm doing good. I should say that you're from the Law General Counsel. That's a company you found. Lawyer General Counsel. That's the company you founded, right? Law Firm General Counsel.
Law Firm GC, but that's what GC stands for, General Counsel.
Okay, General Counsel. And seeing the things you're doing there, and real quick, take me back. So I know you went to Georgia Tech. You're a second or third generation engineer, right? And
that's right.
Third year engineer, and then second generation attorney out of Georgia Tech. Take me back to undergrad school, maybe even a little younger, high school. What got you into what led you to become an attorney? Because you could have went engineer.
Well, it's funny. I did not want to be a lawyer. My dad was a lawyer, and I wanted to do my own thing. I said, I am not going to be a lawyer. And I was in engineering school at Georgia Tech, and I did not want to be an engineer either, but I didn't know what I wanted to be. So I went to the career
didn't want to
service.
Be an engineer?
I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I went to the career services, and they had me take all these tests and all this stuff. And it came back with the top 10 careers that they say is perfect for you, Jonathan. And 5 out of the 10 were different types of lawyers. And I ripped up the paper. I was like, I don't care what you say. I'm not going to be a lawyer. But here I am. I ended up being a lawyer.
Man, because I know you want to, if you weren't doing law, you'd be a drummer in a reggae band. Tell me about your musical background.
So, I played drum set growing up, always loved music. And then when I was in college is when I really found reggae. And, the gateway to that is Bob Marley. And
man, I knew you were going to, I said, if this man says Bob Marley, I got to link it with my father. My father was just in town for it. My dad's a doctor. He's in the addiction space. He's worked with the NFL teams. He's worked with the Falcons and the Hawks out there in Atlanta. But he talked about "Natural Mystic" by Bob Marley. That's one of his favorite songs.
Great song. Yes. That is a great song. It's one of the best.
And a serious message in that song, as you know.
Oh yeah, one of the best. Last summer, one of Bob's sons play, and he's playing Marley songs, and he sounded just like him. It was awesome.
Yeah, they do, man. From Ziggy to Damon. You probably saw Damon. I saw Damon.
Yep. Yeah. So there's a newer band called Stick Figure. They're from out your way. So I don't know if you've seen them, but
Stick Figure, I gotta look for that.
They're good, man. A great show. You got to see them. He may be in San Diego. He's out your way for sure.
Okay. So you were in school. You got into drumming. When you think about, you're sitting here making a decision between law and engineering in school, because you took a little time away. You're a person that goes about. You went to Costa Rica in between undergrad and law school, and you learned Spanish out in Costa Rica. And then you traveled to Colorado and you learned snowboarding. Like, you're an adventurous person. Tell me what's behind that in taking those types of steps and goals.
That's a great question. I did not know what I wanted to do, and I was searching for something. And I went down to Costa Rica by myself, had a great time. It was awesome. My visa ran out, my money ran out. So I came back. I was doing some odd jobs here. I was going to go back to Costa Rica, but a buddy of mine said, hey, I'm going to Colorado. I said, all right, let's go to Colorado. And that was fun too. But that's when I decided that, I'd done enough of this stuff. And that's when I finally said, all right, I got to start getting serious. And that's when I said, all right, I think I should go to law school.
Okay. Law school had it. So you became a business lawyer. For those people out there who don't know what a business lawyer is, explain what a business lawyer is.
Well, it can be a lot of things, but what I do for folks nowadays, at least as outside general counsel for lawyers, so any kind of legal issue that might come up just in the operation of a law firm, we pretty much can help. So, things from like forming a partnership, how do you do the partnership agreement? If you have employee issues, if you have ethics issues, if you have a dispute with some vendor, whatever it is, um, we step in and we can help. And we've represented tons of law firms over the years of all different types. So we've seen a lot of things, and we bring experience to each new client if and when they need us.
Yeah, I saw that you're in different fields: personal injury, immigration, family law, criminal defense, estate, like all from A to Z, everything down there. Now, would you have to, being a business lawyer, if there was a type of dispute, say with a law firm, say a Jacoby and Myers or Morgan, would you go in there and help? Would you take a position in representing them so they wouldn't be representing themselves? Are you kind of like the lawyer for the lawyer if there was any drama?
Yes. So we represent lawyers and law firms, sometimes internally against people and sometimes against other law firms. So if two law firms get into a fight over something, we may be involved in that as well.
So you have to go in there and find out what the discrepancies are and then represent it and counsel it at that point. What made you went to law school and you became a lawyer? You could be any lawyer. Were there any other types of lawyers that you wanted to be before deciding on business law? And what was that decision that you made that led you to where you are, where you said, this is what I'm going to do. I'm making a career at it?
Great question. And a question that I have younger lawyers sometimes ask me, how do you pick? And for me, it was a lot of the process of elimination. So when I went to law school, I actually wanted to be a personal injury plaintiff's lawyer. But when I got out, I could not find a job. Nobody would hire me for that. And so I went and worked as a medical malpractice defense lawyer for a little while. And about 18 months into that, I said, I really don't like this. So I switched to do business litigation stuff and eventually got into sort of business divorce type work. But it took a number of years to get there. And I tried a lot of different things. I said, well, I don't like this. I don't like that. Ended up in business divorce. So that's basically small businesses, closely held businesses breaking apart. And then from there, I did a law firm that broke apart. And that's really what started me on the journey that I'm on now. So that was about 15 years or so ago. And little by little over the years, I've just learned a little bit more in that sort of area and expanded it little by little. So now, I tell people we represent law firms from formation to dissolution and everything in between. And part of it is, why this? I mean, part of it sort of by accident, but part of it is I really enjoy it. It's interesting to me. It's my business. And so it's held my interest for all this time. So I like learning about it. If I didn't like it, I wouldn't be doing it.
Oh, that's good. I see that you've handled anywhere from a solo practitioner to a law firm with as many as 200 attorneys. Tell me what the dynamics are in those two situations. What is the environment that you've encountered?
Yes. So very, very different. So the small firms, particularly where there's one, maybe two owners, there's only one or two decision makers and they can move fast. The bigger firms, the really big firms, have lots of partners, lots of committees, lots of decision makers, They're very slow. It's, it's the speedboat versus the tanker. It's really hard to turn those things. And they're just the bigger shops are, generally speaking, a little more conservative in their decision making. Where, the smaller shops, it's the entrepreneur, and they are risk takers at heart, and they move fast and do stuff.
Do you ever find yourself, I figure with doing business law, and I'm just assuming, you can correct me, you must read a lot of contracts.
Yes, I read and draft a lot of contracts.
Okay, so
for sure.
With those contracts, have you ever found yourself in a situation to where maybe you've had to take the position? I see that personal injury, I figure you work with a lot of personal injury attorneys. Do you find yourself having to ever get in a settlement or a sue situation?
So, yes. If I draft, for example, a partnership agreement for a firm, and then two partners within there are fighting, I really can't take a side because I had represented the firm. But oftentimes, if I have not drafted the agreement, I only represent one. We're going to get in there and we're going to argue about that agreement. And the cool thing about the practice too is because we do the breakups, which can get very nasty and heated. I always learn new things in the breakup, and I take those lessons and then work them into our agreements to try to avoid those fights for the new people. Say, all right, I've seen these fights and we're going to bake into this agreement. So hopefully you can avoid those fights down the road. So, and hopefully save them heartache, time, and money in the future if we deal with it now on the front end.
What gets attorneys to, what causes that friction?
It's a lot of things, but people can say it's money, it's ego, it's
there's a lot of ego. There's a lot of ego involved. A lot of egotistical people there. Yes.
And it's like, I call it, I say it's resentments. It's boiled down to resentments, and in all types. It's, I'm the one bringing in all the business. You're not doing that. And the other one's like, I'm the one doing all the work. You're not doing that. I'm the one that has to deal with all the employees. You're off playing golf every day. There's all these little things, and people get in their own mind, and they, we all do this. It's like, why? It's all because of me, and I maximize or elevate what I'm doing, and I minimize what the other person's doing. And these things, if you don't talk about it, it's like any relationship. If you don't talk about them and work through them, they just start to fester, and then they boil and they boil and boil, and then they just explode. And then at that point, it's too late.
Has there ever been a situation to where you've come in where you've been asked to come with the resolution and things of that nature? Have you ever gotten there and resolve things to where people didn't have to have your services and everything was amicable? Keeping it together, do you come with solutions, or do you try and keep them together when things are happening of that nature?
If it's early enough in the process and it's not too big of a deal, certainly I always try to avoid big fights if we can. It's not good for anybody. So if we can avoid or minimize the fights, absolutely, we try to do that. But I'd say most of the time, by the time they get to me, it's sort of too late, and we're just trying to figure out as smooth a process as possible to get these people away from each other.
Right. Man, that's messy. Yeah, I know you're Jonathan E. Hawkins, and listening to you talk right now, man, I'm gonna give you the nickname Easy. Easy Hawkins, man. I mean, you're just look, you're over there in your office right now. You're just sitting back, cool. You don't seem to get rattled, And I guess it's that Bob Marley. You're just real calm, man.
Just listen to those reggae vibes, man, keeping me grounded.
I could see. I'm nicknaming you Easy, man. You Easy.
I like it. I'll take it. I'll take it.
Yeah, you're easy, man. I like that. So in 2016, you were recognized as the most influential attorney in Georgia, among the most influential. Tell me, what did that feel like, and what do you feel like with that? Because I'm talking to you, I'm looking at you're an influencer among your peers. You know that, right? You would be considered an influencer among your peers, nationwide. Tell me how that process affects you, and what do you take from that?
Well, I just think of myself as a normal person. And so, it's great to be on those lists. I like being on lists, but sometimes I wonder why I'm on that list. I'm just a normal guy, And so again, I like being on them. It's an honor to be on them. But, I try to be a good friend, good lawyer, and try to be easy, as you said.
See?
Yeah.
I didn't make that up. You just followed it. You just followed it. You got to take that right there. That's a selling point for you right there, man. I think we'll talk about that later, but that easy vibe is what you have. See, I had jotted some stuff down here. Since you've worked in the field, you've seen lawyers of all types. And where is most of your business? Is it mostly PI attorneys? Would it be immigration attorneys? How is that split up in terms of what you look at with firms?
Great question. I don't have the stats in front of me, but I would say a lot of PI firms.
Okay.
For sure. A good number of family law firms. Really all over the spectrum. I have represented some immigration firms as well. A lot of, I'll call them general practice, litigation type firms, and even some weird firms that just weird little niches. That,
like, what kind of niches? I saw that in your bio. What kind of niches, man?
So, there's a lawyer I know that represents churches. And I'd never thought about that. I guess churches need representation too, but I never thought about it.
Especially if you have a greedy pastor.
Yeah, exactly. And so let me think of another one. There's all sorts of just little niche practice areas that you've never really even heard of, that lawyers are out there just killing it. They've just somehow fallen into it and they're just killing it.
Have you ever got into sports and entertainment? Anyone's ever called in your services for that?
I have represented, I'll call it sort of IP trademark, and they blend in entertainment, but I've not represented like agents. And really, I did help one firm that represented some folks out in LA that, represented some actors and things, but for the most part, I've not gotten into that. That would be interesting. That would be fun. That would be a fun niche. Representing.
Hey man, keep that thought there. Keep that thought there. Ask me, what's the biggest myth that needs to die immediately that you've seen in the PI, personal injury attorney?
Oh, wow. Well, everybody thinks all the PI lawyers are making tons of money. And sure, there are some that are, but there's a lot that aren't. So I think that is one myth, that everybody thinks they're all just rolling in the dough. But if you're successful in the PI space, you're making more money than anybody. So that's in terms of lawyers. So that'd be one.
What would be another?
And this similar, a lot of people that are not lawyers, they think it's like on TV. They think there are these they think all lawyers are very wealthy, living these outlandish, lavish lifestyles, where most of them are just normal people, that just raising families, just doing normal stuff. Kind of boring.
He said kind of boring. I
That's
mean,
right.
a lot of these lawyers place themselves with the billboards and the fancy cars and things of that nature. Is that a facade, or is a lot of that true from your perspective?
Some is true, some is not. I know a lot of those people. I represent some of those people. And I mean, there's a guy in my building. He pulls up in his Bentley every day, and he's got his billboards. And so he's walking the walk. I don't represent him, so I don't know anything about him. But yeah, he's got his image on there, and he's living it because I see him driving every day.
Interesting. If you were to tell a young lawyer or your younger self about everything that you know today, what advice would you give them based on what you've seen today and what you've dealt with?
I would say the number one thing: relationships are the key. They are the key to your success, and they're also the key to just enjoying life and your practice more. Everybody, this is a stressful career. Representing your clients can be stressful. You don't have to be a raging jerk to be effective, although sometimes you can't help it. I can't help it myself sometimes, but you never know who's going to be a future client or referral source. I have seen many times, both personally and other lawyers I know, where the opposing party who is opposite of them in the lawsuit, 3 years down the line, that person hires the lawyer because they said, "You did such a good job against me. I want you to be on my side versus on the other side." Same with opposing counsel. If you treat them right, fair, honest, but you're a good advocate for your client, they will send you cases in the future. And so you don't have to be a raging asshole to be effective.
Well said, man. Well said. Easy. Straight easy.
That's right.
What was I know in the law business there's a lot of ups and downs. There's highs, there's lows, there's the good, the bad, and everything in between. Tell me about a defining case that made you look at what you do shape in a different place, or maybe helped you change direction based off what you had to deal with.
That is a great question. I don't know if I can point to one case or one client, but back to this niche practice area that I'm in now, I do owe it to one person, and that's my dad, who was practicing law in a completely different city, and he's the one who said to me, "You should look at these law firm breakup cases." I'd never even thought of that before, but he mentioned it to me. We used to talk shop on the phone, and he mentioned it to me. He said, "You should just look into it, see if anybody's doing that in Atlanta." And I looked around, and nobody was really known for that or really publicizing that they did that. And that's what started me down that path. So if I'd say anything, it was that conversation that changed everything for me.
Wow. From your father. That's a landmark right there. You need to use that in your marketing, man. That's speaking of marketing, how do people find out about you? How does a business lawyer go out and get other lawyers?
Man, I do a lot of stuff. And it's probably your business too. So, I've got a podcast called Founding Partner Podcast that I interview lawyers. We drop once a week. I've got a print newsletter that we mail out to 3,000 lawyers every month. I've got a weekly email I send. I post on LinkedIn as sort of my social media of choice. I do a lot of speaking. I take people to lunch. I do it all. I try to do a little bit of everything.
We're doing all that. how many cases does that bring you? Are you more of a case? How does that fit? How does your clientele work? Are you brought in-house, or are you hired out on an individual basis?
So we do a lot of different stuff. So most people usually come to us for a certain project, whether it's a lawsuit that they've got and they have a dispute, or they say, hey, we need you to draft our partnership agreement, or hey, we've got this one thing that really we're focused on now. And so they get referred to me, or they Googled me, or they found out about me somehow, or maybe they've been following me for a while. And then once we work with them, very often they stick around, and then we begin to sort of become their resource for whenever they have issues that come up. We're on speed dial, and we, depending on the client and how we scope it out, we can do it just, as needed, or we have sort of a monthly retainer model, depending on what they want, how often they want to call us. But that's the fun part, is really getting to know the law firm owners and leaders, learning about them and their stories, and then how they've built their firm. And that's the other cool thing about the law, is there's so many different types of practice areas, but so many different business models. And I just love that stuff. And I've seen, you see the people that look super successful from the outside, and you get in there and you realize, well, they got all sorts of chaos. And you got others that you've never heard of that are just on the beach collecting checks. It's really cool to see.
Right, that's so dope. I looked at your firm. You have three or four. You have four attorneys, right? Two attorneys and two associate attorneys with you.
Yeah, we're at, I think, 3 or 4 other than me, and we'll be adding a couple here soon. So we're
How did you attract attorneys to you? What do you look for in someone that's working with you, so that you have that harmony, so that you're not out there having to go find someone to come in and do a dispute for you?
Well, I'll tell you, I tell people, what is it? ABR, always be recruiting, because always be looking for people out there you think you might want to work with. And when you find them, stay in touch with them. The timing is not always right for both of you. But if you stay in touch, when it does arise, you're like, okay, I'm here. And so I'm always out there looking for people that I think I'd like to work with, that bring a certain skill set that would fit in with what we're doing. And I'm always, it's like business development for clients. You're just always staying in touch.
Right.
And then if and when they want to move, I want them to think, let me call Jonathan first.
Call Jonathan. Where do you see the law firm GC in the near future? What would be the ultimate exit for your firm?
Well, right now we're based in Atlanta, but we do some work all over the country. But the idea is to build a national platform, coast to coast, north to south, and represent lawyers all over the country, and build some beachheads in some other cities, because I think this is something that every law firm needs, and it's an underserved market, and so we're trying to grow.
So you're like, is it safe for me to say you're like a pioneer in this space? Yeah.
I think so. I think that'd be safe to say.
Okay. That sounds good. Good.
I like that.
Yeah. Easy, man. How do people get a hold of you?
So our website is lawfirmgc.com. Go find me there. My LinkedIn is a good place. I'm there a lot. Good place to get me. And then check out my podcast, Founding Partner Podcast.
Yeah, I was looking at your podcast, man. It's dope. You ask some dope questions, man. Like you're just laid back. I was that's the thing I got from you. My first impression, you're a very laid back individual. And when I saw the name that you're Jonathan E. Hawkins, just in my head, I'm like, this guy is easy. And then you confirmed that earlier in our talk. You know what I mean? That's a good selling point. That's a good selling point for where you are and where you're going. And lastly, Jonathan, I want to ask you, what is a Loudr lawyer to you? What does that mean to you?
It's somebody that's living their life the way they want to live it. You get all these people out there telling you, do this, do that. You got to do this with your firm. You got to blah, blah, blah. The people that say, you know what, I'm going to do it for me. I'm going to build it the way I want to build it. And it's going to be the way I want to do it. That's what I say Loudr lawyer is.
Loudr lawyer. We over here at Loudr Media, we look at a Loudr lawyer as someone who is compassionate about people and going beyond self into the communities. You mentioned that you want to be nationwide. How beautiful would that look for you to be in touch with the communities in the states that you want to go to, and being out there, not only dealing with disputes that law firms may have, but something that may be happening in the community, some type of charity and things of that nature. It speaks loud, because sponsoring your local sports team, or you know what I'm saying? Those type of things really help move the needle when pushing business.
100% agree. And that's the kind of approach that the big gorillas can never fight you on. They can spend more money, but that community involvement, it's harder for them to do.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. I think your message and who you are, man, like you're the brand of what you've built. And I think that you need to be out there up front more and pushing that. And Easy, man. I talk to you. Easy is that's who you are, man. You're easy to me. I hope you don't mind that, respectfully.
I'm going to borrow that, man. I'm going to use it.
You can use that all day, man. Well, Jonathan, man, it was a pleasure having you. Thank you for taking the time to come on Loudr Lawyer Network, and look forward to where you're going, man.
Well, I appreciate the invite, man. It's been fun.
All right.
Thanks for being a part of the Loudr Lawyer Network. If you're enjoying the conversation, let us know. Give us a like and subscribe to never miss a thing. We'll see you next time right here on the Loudr Lawyer Network.